SeaWorld is keeping a close eye on a killer whale blamed for killing a trainer.
What you're about to hear is the story of Jessica Radcliffe, a 29-year-old senior trainer whose final moments would expose the deadly secrets behind SeaWorld's Marine World's billion-dollar empire. For 8 years, Jessica believed she had formed an unbreakable bond with Titan, a massive 12,000-pound orca. But on one sunny September afternoon in Southern California, that bond would shatter in the most horrific way imaginable. This isn't just another workplace accident. What really happened that day has been systematically covered up by one of America's most powerful entertainment corporations. And the internal documents I'm about to reveal will change everything you think you know about marine mammal captivity. We've compiled exclusive evidence, witness testimonies, internal SeaWorld documents, and expert analysis that has never been shared publicly until now. Every detail of this investigation, from Jessica's tragic final moments to the corporate cover-up that followed her death, is documented in this video. If you want to stay informed about stories like this that expose the truth behind industries that put profits over human lives, make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for notifications. We're one of the few channels willing to investigate these dangerous cover-ups. And your support helps us continue bringing you these critical stories that mainstream media won't touch. Jessica Radcliffe wasn't just another SeaWorld trainer. She was the face of the company's most profitable franchise, appearing on promotional materials and narrating safety videos. Born in coastal Maine, Jessica had dreamed of working with marine mammals since childhood, earning dual degrees in marine biology and psychology before joining SeaWorld's Marine World in 2015. Over her 8-year career, Jessica rose to become one of only a handful of senior trainers authorized to work in the water with Titan, the park's largest and most dangerous orca. She genuinely believed in her mission, often telling colleagues she was helping people connect with marine life. Jessica had this incredible ability to read the animals, recalls former colleague Samantha Burke. She was fearless in the water, but she also had this deep emotional connection to the orcas. She talked about them like they were her children. That emotional connection would ultimately prove fatal. Titan wasn't just another performing orca. He was a 22-foot, 12,000-pound killer whale with a documented history of human attacks that SeaWorld had systematically concealed from both trainers and the public. Captured from Norwegian waters in 1998, Titan had spent over 2 decades in various marine parks, growing larger and more psychologically damaged with each passing year. His collapsed dorsal fin had become iconic, but it was actually a visible sign of the psychological trauma that captivity inflicts on these intelligent creatures. What the public didn't know was that Titan had already attacked twice before. In 2019 at a facility in Japan, he was involved in an incident that left trainer Yuki Tanaka with a broken spine. The 25-year-old had entered the tank for a routine session, and Titan had rammed her against the wall with such force that she never walked again. The second attack occurred in 2021 in Russia. Viktor Petrov was found unconscious in Titan's tank, his body showing signs of sustained aggression. SeaWorld claimed they weren't aware of these incidents, but internal documents revealed they'd paid both facilities to transfer Titan specifically because of his violent history. Despite this violent past, Titan remained SeaWorld's star performer and primary breeding male. He had sired 17 offspring, making him worth millions to the company's breeding program. Corporate executives had calculated that his entertainment and breeding value outweighed the risk to human life. Dr. Jeffrey Vontra, a former SeaWorld trainer turned whistleblower, revealed the truth. Titan was a mentally broken animal. Years of isolation, forced breeding, and artificial living conditions had created a ticking time bomb. We all knew it was just a matter of time. In the months leading up to September 15, 2023, Titan's behavior had become increasingly erratic. Internal incident reports documented a pattern of aggression that should have triggered immediate safety reviews. Titan displayed what marine biologists call stereotypic behaviors, repetitive actions indicating severe psychological distress. He would float motionlessly for hours, swim in endless circles, and repeatedly ram his head against tank walls. More troubling were his interactions with trainers. On multiple occasions, Titan had grabbed trainers' limbs during performances, holding them underwater for dangerous periods before releasing them. Each incident was logged as playful behavior rather than the predatory testing that experts now recognize it to have been. Dr. Lori Marino, who later testified in congressional hearings, analyzed Titan's patterns. What we see in the months before Jessica's death is a clear escalation of predatory behaviors. Titan was assessing human vulnerabilities and preparing for what would ultimately be a calculated attack. Most disturbing was Titan's increasing fixation on Jessica herself. Security footage shows him tracking her movements with dangerous intensity. When Jessica worked elsewhere in the facility, Titan would position himself at the closest section of his tank and maintain visual contact for extended periods. 3 weeks before the fatal attack, Titan had grabbed Jessica's wetsuit during a training session and held her underwater for nearly a minute. Jessica surfaced gasping and shaken but refused to report the incident. Titan was just being playful, Jessica insisted. He didn't mean any harm. He knows I trust him completely. This incident was captured on security cameras and later analyzed by experts who concluded unanimously. Titan's behavior was a clear predatory assessment disguised as play. September 15, 2023, began routinely at Seaves Marine World. Jessica was scheduled for the 3 o'clock show, the park's premier performance with premium pricing. At 2:30 p.m., Jessica began her preparation routine. For 30 minutes, everything proceeded normally. Jessica checked her equipment, reviewed Titan's behavioral charts, and seemed confident. But experts later identified subtle warning signs Jessica missed. Her hands were shaking as she put on her wetsuit. She checked her emergency whistle 4 times instead of once. She stood at her locker staring at a photo for a full minute. At 3 p.m., the show began with 5,000 guests packed into the stadium. Jessica emerged to thunderous applause, explaining orca intelligence and the supposed benefits of captivity. But trainers watching from backstage noticed something wrong. Titan's movements were more deliberate than usual. His vocalizations were pitched at frequencies associated with agitation, and his eye contact showed predatory focus rather than affection. At 3:13 p.m., Jessica made the fatal decision. She entered the water for the finale, a high-speed dorsal tow meant to showcase the bond between trainer and orca. Multiple security cameras captured what happened next. Titan approached slowly, his massive body moving with predatory precision. Jessica was focused on the audience and didn't notice his positioning change. In one explosive movement, Titan struck Jessica with his rostrum, breaking 6 ribs instantly. The force launched her across the pool, her head striking the platform before she disappeared beneath the surface. Remaining guests initially thought it was part of the show. Some applauded, believing they witnessed a new trick, but Seaves staff knew immediately something was catastrophically wrong. Alarms blared as trainers rushed to implement emergency protocols never tested in real crisis. Nothing could have prepared them for what followed. Titan didn't just attack Jessica. He systematically treated her as prey. Security footage shows him shaking her violently, a behavior orcas use to stun large prey animals. Each shake caused massive internal trauma, breaking bones and rupturing organs. For 4 minutes and 37 seconds, Titan held Jessica underwater while emergency teams frantically tried everything. They deployed underwater sound devices, threw fish to lure him away, and attempted barriers to separate him from Jessica's body. Nothing worked. Titan was completely focused on his prey, ignoring all external stimuli with single-minded determination. When he briefly surfaced, Witnesses could see Jessica's lifeless body in his jaws before he dove to continue his attack. If you're someone who believes people deserve to know the truth about what really happens behind the scenes at marine entertainment facilities, then you need to subscribe to this channel right now. What I'm about to reveal about the corporate cover-up that enabled this tragedy has been hidden by Seeb's legal team for over a year. Hit that subscribe button because the information we're sharing could prevent future tragedies and save lives. When Titan finally released Jessica's body, what emergency responders found challenged professional training limits. The autopsy report, initially sealed by court order, revealed injuries so severe that positive identification required dental records. Jessica had suffered massive blunt force trauma to her head, neck, and torso. Multiple bones fractured, organs ruptured. She died from drowning and traumatic injuries, but clinical language couldn't capture the actual horror. Evidence showed Jessica remained conscious for several minutes after the initial attack. Defensive wounds suggested she tried fighting back as Titan systematically attacked her. Seeb's immediately launched extensive damage control. Corporate lawyers secured all footage and documentation. Staff signed expanded non-disclosure agreements and were warned that discussing the incident could result in termination and legal action. The initial press statement was carefully crafted. Seebs is deeply saddened to confirm the accidental death of our beloved trainer Jessica Radcliffe. This tragic incident appears to have been caused by miscommunication during a routine behavior. Federal investigation revealed systematic patterns of concealing safety incidents. OSHA fined Seebs $750,000 for willful safety violations and banned trainers from entering water with orcas during performances. Internal documents revealed executives were primarily concerned about financial impact rather than trainer welfare. Following investigations and settlements, Seebs fundamentally altered its business model, ending orca breeding and phasing out theatrical shows. These changes came too late for Jessica and Titan. Jessica's death forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about entertainment built on animal exploitation. But her story shouldn't end with fear. It should end with understanding. Tell your children, tell your grandchildren, not just about the danger, but about the illusion. About the difference between connection and control. About what happens when we mistake performance for friendship and captivity for care. Because Jessica Radcliffe wasn't foolish. She was compassionate. She genuinely believed she was helping these animals, forming real bonds with creatures that needed her. And the world never taught her that compassion alone isn't enough when directed at animals psychologically destroyed by decades of captivity. Her kindness couldn't heal what confinement had broken. Her love couldn't override instincts twisted by trauma. So share this story not for shock, not for views, but because somewhere out there another young person dreams of swimming with orcas, of forming that magical bond they've seen in shows. They need to know that what they're seeing isn't love. It's learned helplessness on one side and dangerous delusion on the other. They need to understand that true love for these creatures means fighting for their freedom, not participating in their captivity. If you have children who love marine life, tell them Jessica's story. Not to scare them away from the ocean, but to teach them the difference between respecting wild animals and controlling them. Explain that orcas in the wild have never killed a human in recorded history, but in captivity, they've killed 4. That difference tells us everything we need to know. Love is a human word. Orcas have their own language for connection, spoken in frequencies we can barely hear, expressing concepts we'll never fully understand. When we force our definitions onto them, when we trap them in concrete pools and demand they perform our version of affection, we create monsters. Not because they're evil, but because we've driven them insane. Jessica's family established a foundation not for revenge, but for education. They want people to know that every ticket purchased, every show attended, every photo taken with a captive orca contributes to this cycle of suffering. The real way to honor Jessica's memory isn't to fear these animals. It's to respect them enough to leave them where they belong, in the vast oceans where their families swim free, where their songs travel for miles, where they can be what they truly are, not what we force them to become. Remember Jessica's name, but more importantly, remember the lesson her death teaches. Wild animals aren't our friends. They're not our children. They're not here for our entertainment. They're magnificent beings that deserve to exist on their own terms, in their own worlds, following their own ancient patterns. The moment we forget that, the moment we believe our love can tame them, we write our own tragedy. Jessica learned this too late. You don't have to.